Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today I'm coming to you guys finally with the Logitech MX Master. Now, I've had this for a few weeks now actually. I pretty much ordered it as soon as it released, and I ordered it and got it. Now, I was really curious about this because I loved my MX Master 3S. That's something that I've used daily. I use it for work, I use it for like editing, everything. That is my like work mouse. Now, I don't use it for gaming obviously because it's not a good gaming mouse, but I use it for a lot of work. I was curious because I really want a new one. My old one, as you guys will see in this video, is very stained up, very worn down, and even cracked on the side. I really wanted a bit of an upgrade, and I was curious how this is going to be. Now, from the specs and everything that I've seen, it doesn't look very promising. And I'm kind of disappointed with the announcements of things, so we're going to have to go right into it. Let's do the unboxing, check out the mouse itself, compare it with the MX Master 3S, and even another ergonomic mouse that I have that's more budget, and see, is this even worth your time? So let's go right into it, and please make sure to like and subscribe.
So let's start off with the unboxing of the Logitech MX Master 4. Now, I was super excited because I really wanted an upgrade from my previous MX Master, as it was really running down and kind of falling apart. Now, when you purchase the MX Master 4, they provide you this carrying case with it, and honestly, it's not great. Like, I think for the price that they're charging for these, I don't think they're really very worth it. It's supposed to be like $30 or $40 in Canadian. Not a good choice in terms of what you're paying. Honestly, kind of really like disappointing in terms of the case. I honestly would have preferred something like a little bit more hard case, especially if I'm paying that kind of price. But I mean, it came with it, so we can't really complain there. Now, overall, the packaging wise, it's okay, right? You are getting a more like recycle friendly packaging, and overall the mouse looks actually really decent, but as soon as I picked it up in my hand, it felt quite heavy. Now, I was looking for a USB cable and the dongle, and this is the dongle for the new MX Master 4. And this is super disappointing. Like, why is there no cable provided? I mean, I know that a lot of companies now are kind of getting rid of cables and trying to go with more recycle friendly things and saying that, oh, people already have them, but come on, like, this is just kind of dumb. This shouldn't be a new trend that is happening where people are not receiving a cable and not receiving a proper USB dongle for the mouse. Do you see here? I'm trying to open this up to see if there's any cables available. There's no USB cable. Like, what's going on here? And who makes a USB-C dongle for a mouse that should be used on many different things, like a PC, for example, that most likely still uses a USB 3.0 port or even a USB 2.0? This is not the greatest start to the unboxing, where I really feel disappointed. Now, overall, in terms of the feel of the mouse, they've really changed up the whole material of it. It's super slippery. This is my MX Master 3S. Please forgive me for how dirty it looks and how like stained it is, because I've been using it for many years now. I've been using my MX Master 3S for about 3-4 years, and the new material seems like it's going to be a little better, where it's not going to stain and feels, you know, a little bit more plasticky in a way. I'm going to be honest with you. It is also heavier by 10 grams compared to the previous.
So we've done the unboxing of the MX Master 4, and this is not the Mac version, by the way. So first thing off, I'm quite disappointed that there was no cable. 2, I'm disappointed that the dongle is a USB-C dongle instead of a USB 3.0, or even just having a 3.0 adapter inside of it. Like, what's the point of just having USB-C? I don't think they fully understand that there's still people that have PCs, and the PCs do not all have USB-C ports, or they're being used by something else. This is a decent mouse in terms of the looks. It's quite heavy though. In my hands, it actually feels heavier than the previous MX Master 3S. I was hoping it was going to be lighter, in my honest opinions. That's my hope, because the 3S was already a decent weight, and the more I've used it, of course I get used to it, but I would have preferred something get lighter, just because, you know, when you're moving the mouse sometimes, you sometimes lift it up, right? And I would love to have less weight that I have to deal with. This one is heavier. Of course, we really do have to compare this though, like more in depth, like close up, with the MX Master 3S, and even the Repro that I have, the MT760 Pro, just to give you guys a comparison and show you guys like where does Logitech really stand in where are they really taking all this? So let's check out the website first to show you guys a little bit of a comparison, the usage of the mouse itself from what I found, and little tips and tricks that I've kind of used for this, and of course compare it with the other mice. So let's go right into that.
So we're going to look at the website first. Now, this is MX3S, which is going to be, this is in Canadian, by the way, and in USD, you're looking at about 95 USD for the 3S. And yeah, I would say the discounted price is not that much compared to what it used to be, or like sometimes when the discounts happen for the MX3S, as well as compared to the MX Master 4, which the 4 is going to be sitting at a 120 USD. So overall, when you really compare the pricing wise, it's about a $20 difference. Now, in the US that is, but in Canada it's actually like seems to be a little bit more, where MX Master 4 is 160, but in USD you're looking at 120 USD. So these are things that you can consider in terms of the price differences. Now, MX Master 3S will go on sale often, especially as they're going to most likely try to get rid of a lot of the inventory. You should see sales happen a lot, especially when Black Friday comes around. The new MX Master 4 with the whole haptic feedback and everything is an interesting thing. Now, the MX Master 3S does not have the haptic feedback, and it's missing one more button. And overall, it's going to be quite similar in terms of other aspects. Like, you're still getting 125 hertz. They have not updated this to get 1000 hertz yet. The battery is increased, so you're getting a little bit more battery. So the battery size for the MX Master 3S was supposed to be 500, and this one's at 650. So you're going to get a so-called longer battery life, but then the haptic is there. So one thing I've noticed with the battery life of the MX Master 4 is that the battery life actually is not that much longer compared to the 3S, and that's because of the haptic feedback. Now, if you have the haptic feedback on very strong, you're going to be using up a lot more battery compared to what you had with 3S. So keep in mind these things. The 4 has more features to them, but it is more battery consuming. So this is not the greatest thing, where I've used it now for about 3 weeks. So I've had the MX Master 4 for 3 weeks, been using it constantly, and battery consumption from like 80% to 40% in that time, while the 3S actually would have lasted me to like 50%. So that's something that I've noticed with the two different mices. Now, going into specifically into the softwares, like to show you guys kind of how haptic feedback works. So in DaVinci Resolve, you actually get a little bit of interesting things. Now, here is the software. So the MX Master 4, as you can see, they're 40% after 3 weeks compared to my MX Master 3S, which also I've been using for 3 weeks and like at work and different places. Now, the different buttons. So there's a third button here, which I've actually used it as a keystroke, and I've changed it to Control C, Control V. This is something I do prefer. The extra button is really nice to have. Like in general, it's nice to have something that you can actually do a little bit of different things in. Please don't mind the thing right there. I was trying to do some subtitle changes and I was writing things down, but see how I do that. And I can use the third button where the go forward, go back is, and I changed it to Control C, Control V, and it works really well. So Control C, like copy, Control V, paste. It works incredibly well in terms of this, and I really like that button. I think that's one of the key things and one of the bigger things that I appreciate in the new mouse. With the haptic feedback though, you get the special thing, right? So see here, you have many different things you can change it to. You can change the AI prompt. You can change like to the action ring, which is going to be where I'll show you guys like what the action ring actually looks like, where you will be able to change around the different things of like specific apps or ChatGPT or AIs and emojis and things like that. Now, if you have it on high for the haptic feedback, you're going to use up a lot more battery. I think the haptic feedback on high is actually a little bit too much. It's really, really strong. Having it on like the lower settings is probably better for you, and it'll also help with the battery life. Overall, you still get the easy switch. So both of them have easy switch, right? You still have the Logi Flow, which allows you to change like between different computers when you get to the edge of a screen, which again is available in both. So you can actually use it in both mice, which is not a big problem. Really, the key things is going to be like the haptic feedback and the extra button. Now, this is a key thing about the haptic feedback. In certain applications, you get these extra settings, and of course, you can also change them in those apps. this is going to be DaVinci Resolve, which I used to do a lot of editing, and it's pretty cool. You can have these things set where you want to find specific features or things like quick access while you're editing, and these are things that I would say is very, very cool to have. Now, on the regular desktop, you'll get like AI settings, so you can go to Gemini, you go to ChatGPT, and if you click on ChatGPT, it actually opens up the website, so you can search up things and do things there that you need to, or ask questions. Overall, you also get like the software right away, so if you click on that, boom, your software pops up and you can make the changes. Key thing, if you use this at work computers, certain work computers won't allow you to use them. So on my work computer, I'm not even able to use the haptic feedback. Like it doesn't allow me to do anything, which is kind of unfortunate. I don't know why it's blocked, but it is blocked. So keep in mind, if you're using this and you wanted to use this for work at like your office space, it might get blocked and you might not be able to use it. Now, overall, like setting wise, yeah, you can change the DPI and things, but you can't change the polling rate to like 1,000, and it's unfortunate that they haven't really fixed this. This is the MX Master 3S, which you get all these same features, right? Like you have the extra button that is not the haptic feedback, but it'll open up to multitasking, so you can change up different windows. The third button is automatically set for that in terms of the MX Master 4, but you can change it up like what I did and how I showed you to do that. I think copy paste is probably the best thing you can do. But overall, it's not that big of a difference, and it's not enough of a upgrade where I feel like I'm very happy with my purchase. I think overall when I made these purchases, right, like my MX Master 3S has served me well for the longest time. It's been one of the best mice that I've used. It's very ergonomic, works really well with all the specific applications I need to do, and has the infinite scroll, which is super great for work when I'm going through documents. And the MX Master 4 is just the same thing with some extra features, which feels a little bit like a gimmick, right? And I really do wish that like they made it lighter. I'm not sure why they had to make it heavier, and I really do not appreciate this USB-C dongle. I really would have like appreciated it if they did the USB-C dongle, because I get that a lot of computers now are using USB-C, a lot of laptops, specifically like MacBooks, are going to have USB-C. They should have provided an adapter. Like, why was an adapter created and in the box for this mouse? It's something that they really should have thought of and really put in the thought to make that happen. Not sure why that they really made that mistake. It's not a great thing. And overall, the whole haptic and like the action bars is a little bit of a gimmick that can be useful if you are heavily into creative tools like Adobe, Photoshop, pretty much anything Adobe related, and DaVinci Resolve works. I tried it in GIMP, does not work in GIMP at all. So it's very specific apps that are supported. DaVinci Resolve luckily is one of those, but if you try to use it in like certain third-party ones that is not Adobe, you're gonna have a hard time getting it to work properly. And just keep in mind, it's not really feasible to add in there, so keep that in mind for yourselves if you don't use those specific popular applications. So let's take a look and really compare the different mice that I have for ergonomics that I think is going to be good, and you can see for yourself. So one thing to notice with the Logitech MX Master 4 is it actually does kind of scuff up. So the way that the back of the whole design came out to be and the material, it actually makes a lot of those like cut up, it's almost like a stain, but it's not, because it's just the plastic pieces kind of peeled off in those areas, or like grease kind of got there and kind of died off. The MX Master 3S, it's unfortunate. The material is quite nice, but if you get a white one, it's going to become like that. Like if you put it in a backpack and you carry it in a backpack, you're looking at that kind of dirtiness to happen with the dirt, and it will break apart quite easily over time. Overall, in terms of the length of it, so I measured it from the like middle clicks, it's 12 centimeters in length, and then the height we're looking at from the highest point to the bottom, 5 centimeters, and then the width of it is going to be 8.1 centimeters in terms of the width. So that's what we're looking at for the MX Master 3S. The new 4 is going to be actually a little bit longer at 12.4 centimeters. It's slightly longer. And then in terms of the height itself, you're actually be looking at the same pretty much height wise, like 5 centimeters. And then the width wise, it's going to be a little bit wider, but quite similar at 8.4 centimeters. This is my Rapoo MT760, and I think this is a very great budget ergonomic mouse. It is missing certain features, but in terms of like the width there, it's gonna be very similar. The height wise, it's a lot shorter. It's actually 4.6 centimeters. So if you are someone with like bigger hands, the Rapoo might be a little bit too small. Here you can see like my fingers go to 6.8 centimeters in terms of the finger length, and then the palm length is going to be about 9 centimeters or almost 10 centimeters in terms of the palm. So if you can measure your hand, you can kind of get an idea in terms of the size of the mouse. If you aren't able to really go out and check a mouse yourself, at least maybe this helps you with the measurements. Overall, the Rapoo feels better for if you have smaller hands. It's not giving you like that perfect ergonomic feel like the MX Master 3S is. I actually think the size-wise, the MX3 Master 3S is really great, but the 4 is just a little bit too slippery and too long. Now, going into doing like more of like check of the ergonomics here, so you can see how on the side view of the MX Master 4, that's how it's looking like. It feels a little bit bigger, and I feel like it's not fully sitting on the mouse. The back of the mouse is so slippery that I feel like my hands are constantly slipping off of it, so it's hard to get a really good grip of it. The 3S is really nice where I'm getting a better grip. It feels much more comfortable in my palm. I feel like it's a perfect fit in my hand, and it is a little bit shorter. Like the 4 is actually a little bit longer, and it feels so slippery there that it just doesn't feel super comfortable when I'm holding onto it, and I feel like I'm gonna actually kind of drop it. The 3S I think is a perfect design in terms of that material wise, but of course I kind of want to give you guys an idea of the Rapoo as well, where the Rapoo is a little bit shorter, so if you have smaller hands it actually feels very, very comfortable in your hands, and it really sits perfectly. But let me give a sound test of all three. So going back into looking at these mice again, so overall in terms of like the material of the 4, it's definitely improved in terms of like, I would say, durability wise, but in terms of the feel, it just doesn't feel very grippy. Your hands and your palms are gonna slide a lot. Like it really has that slippery glossiness to the back of it. And like in terms of the material, I think the 3S material is really great if we get the black one, right? I think if they made an improvement of the previous version, it would have been nicer. See how this one weighs 151 grams, so the weight is quite heavy. The 3S is at 143 grams, and that 10 grams is actually quite a big difference in your hands and holding it. The Rapoo is actually really light at 109. I think overall for ergonomic mice, it's actually a little bit better to have it a little bit lighter compared to heavier. Overall, in the sense of sliding though, yes, the MX Master 4 really will slide around your mousepad very well. The 3S on the other hand has a little bit more grip to it and won't slide perfectly comparatively. The Rapoo on the other hand, it's gonna slide just as good as the 4 almost, but overall the 4 does feel better in terms of actually, going over on a mousepad. The Rapoo itself, the MT760 Pro, is going to be missing that side button. I think the side button is actually really nice to have overall comparatively than not having one, because you can change it to whatever you need it to be. The whole MX Master haptic feedback is quite interesting in terms of the feel. I think it feels very interesting, and how it vibrates in your hand is cool, but overall too strong if you have it on the highest setting. I think the overall infinity scroll on the Logitech is something that I wish more other mice had. That is on its own is already so much for me that I really love the Logitech mice, and the reason why I stick with them. Another thing to note is that the clicks on the MX Master 4 is actually even more silent, and you're gonna feel a lot more mush. You feel like you're not really clicking something compared to the MX Master 3S. The 3S actually provides that clicking feedback, while the MX Master 4 really won't. The Rapu also has like a silent click, but it's definitely going to be a little bit more louder. It is missing the infinity scroll, so it's a budget option. Like if you're looking for something under $70, you can definitely check a look at that, and it's a decent ergonomic mouse that you can use. If you're looking to get an MX Master 4 and you already have a 3S, I would say hold off and see if there's any updates or changes that they'll make. But overall, I don't think it's a very worth upgrade.
I really hope this video helped you guys in terms of seeing, is the MX Master 4 even worth the price that it is right now? I honestly think that if you have a 3S, not really worth the upgrade. My honest opinion on that. This mouse itself is decent. I do like the finish. It's gonna last probably a little bit longer in terms of durability than my 3S, but for the price that I was paying, it's kind of expensive. I'm gonna be honest, when I purchased my 3S, it was a lot cheaper, right? It was much cheaper at the time, and I got a lot of use out of it, and it still works quite well, honestly. This 4 is a little bit of a gimmick. It's just a bit of a gimmick. If you like those little extra features though, I mean, it can be handy. Like the haptic button feedback with like the customizability, and over time as they probably add more things and more, you know, companies really update their programs to be able to support it, it probably will get better. But at the moment, I think it's a little bit of a gimmick and very, very niche market that will like the specific things that you can do with this. So I'll have the links in the description. You guys can check it out yourselves, but please go check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.